You're in the hot seat.
Got my glasses. Shut my phone off.
How many homes are proposed in that subdivision?
24, I think. We're only talking about whether they can make the road 300 feet longer, right?
So Rob, the cul-de-sac, one of the things is that the zoning definition is really in conflict with the, what did you tell me, the
Right.
measurements are not parallel with
Subdivision
Kind of
regulations.
subdivision regulations, which is, but I noticed that we got a letter from somebody opposing, but they're basing it on the development, not on
Did you
actually
see
what's
these
being
letters we got sent
proposed
today
tonight.
by email?
Oh,
So-
I think
Yeah,
there'll,
it was emailed to us,
I think
it's
there'll probably be a lot of
actually-
people here
it's
speaking
2 letters.
as if this was a
That's
planning
about,
board meeting.
Pick
Pickerel
Road.
Pond.
Exactly.
Exactly.
The majority of the issues are gonna come
Yeah.
from when it goes to planning.
Exactly.
Yeah, because that's not what we're addressing at all. So, okay.
Alrighty. We have a lovely crowd here tonight. Thank you for all coming.
Yeah, I'm surprised we have so many people here.
Close enough to 6:30, Scott? I'll call the September meeting of the zoning board to order.
In attendance tonight, we have Richard Bottom, Eric Hoffman, Jane DeRoche, Chair Michael Dellavecchia, Vice Chair Marcia Hayward, Planner Rob Moore, and myself, public minute taker Scott Pelchat. Mr. Chair,
Alrighty.
I got this all messed up
First, we will
Already?
from going out today.
review
Oh.
last month's minutes. Everybody had a chance to peek.
I make a motion to accept the minutes as presented.
Thank you, Marcia.
I'll second.
Thank you. All in favor? Okay. We have that out of the way. No extensions.
Tonight.
First up tonight is 17 Arch Street. Hello, come on up.
Okay, I gotta shake the nerves off.
We're friendly here.
Okay, good. I brought just a little booklet.
Your name, please?
Oh, Christy Silver.
Go ahead, Christy.
So I brought a little booklet I wondered if I could share with you guys,
Sure,
just to hand it to Scott.
we'll pass it around.
Okay,
Yep.
thank you. It just shows before and afters of the property. We've been renovating it for 6 months to get it to where it is now. And the pictures will really tell the story. But I brought just a little bit, something I can read to you guys, so just to
Certainly.
make it a little easier so I don't forget anything. So, good evening, members of the zoning board. Thank you for the opportunity to speak with you today. My name is Christy Silver, and I'm here to respectfully request a variance to allow our home located at 17 Arch Street to be used as a short-term rental. We fully understand the importance of preserving the character, safety, and quality of life in our community. And we want to assure you that we are responsible property owners who are committed to maintaining our home to the highest standards, both for our guests and our neighbors. When we purchased the property, we invested significantly in improving it. The interior has been fully renovated to ensure it is clean, safe, and welcoming. On the exterior, we took great care to remove several eyesores and safety concerns. This included taking down a dilapidated shed with a caved-in roof that was filled with trash, removing a non-functioning hot tub that had been left deteriorating on the back deck, and clearing out old debris and junk that had accumulated across the yard. We are encouraged by how far the home has come, and we intend to continue maintaining and improving its appearance over time, especially if it's approved for short-term lodging. We believe a short-term rental is not just compatible with the neighborhood, it may even be a better option than a long-term rental. That's because as owners, we have a vested interest in the property's long-term condition. We will remain directly involved in its upkeep and in monitoring its use. It is in our best interest to ensure the property remains attractive, well-maintained, and in full compliance with local standards. We also use a professional platform that allows us to screen guests and enforce rules through deposits and reviews. In addition to our commitment to maintaining the property and being good neighbors, we believe allowing this variance will also have positive economic benefits for the broader community. Visitors to the area will support local restaurants, shops, gas stations, and other small businesses, providing a boost to the local economy, especially during seasonal peaks or special events. In short, our goal is not to just rent out a house. We want to offer a clean, safe, quiet, and well-managed space that contributes positively to the community. We truly believe that our approach to short-term rental ownership aligns with the values of this town and respects the integrity of the neighborhood. We appreciate your time and consideration, and we'd be happy to answer any questions or concerns that you may have.
Very good, Christie.
Thank you.
My biggest question is, where do you live?
Manchester.
And do you have somebody local that will do the garbage cans, check on things, emergencies?
We do. We actually have a neighbor who we have met with several times over the last 6 months that we've been in close contact with, who is literally right there, right on the same street.
And is this a first-time endeavor for you, or?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. But we have renovated homes. My son and I have renovated homes for 8 years in New Hampshire. And this one, we actually did have it on the market, and it hasn't sold. So we said, why don't we try a short-term rental? Let's fully furnish it. So we fully have, furnished the home. The street that it's on, we have a multi-unit on the left of us that's a rental, a multi-unit on the other side that's a rental, and then across the street is, I think it's a 10 to 12 unit, multi-unit. And in upkeeping it, in us upkeeping it and making sure that it's always looks nice for short-term rentals, it's probably going to be better taken care of.
It's the nicest house on the street, there's no doubt about that.
Thank you.
It looks great. The board members have any questions?
I have a question. Do you have it deeded in your name or in the LLC?
LLC.
And is there a reason why it's not going to be owner occupied?
Well, we had it on the market. It hasn't sold. So you mean by owner occupied by us?
That because usually, we like to have it owner occupied
Right,
short-term rentals.
right. So we'll be using it for vacation time. We have something planned for November to come up. But I work full-time in Manchester and in the surrounding area. I'm a realtor, and also we renovate houses. So, I've been up here a lot over the last 6 months, making the trip back and forth.
Anybody else? All right, Christie, you could have a seat.
Okay.
I have to ask if there's any residents that would like to speak about this matter. Yes, sir.
Yeah, my name is Harry Bean, and I own 13 Arch Street, right next door. And I have a couple of concerns. One of them, is this going to have anything to do with any kind of rehab in that name or any other name?
Harry, address the council, and then Christie will have a chance to answer the questions, please.
Okay, and the other thing that I'd like to know is I'd like to have a definition of a short-term rental. Hers, yours.
Scott, can you help?
Yep. I believe Rob is pulling up the official city definition.
Thank you. Marcia, what page are you on?
I am on page 134.
I guess we must, hopefully we define it in 13 then.
I couldn't find it today, I don't know why.
And just for clarification, Christie
All right.
mentioned she was.
A dwelling unit where transient lodging is provided for compensation for stays for between 1 and 14 consecutive nights, and where the dwelling unit
I didn't hear you when you started.
Oh.
Would you start over, please? I'm
Yep,
sorry.
no problem. Yep. A dwelling unit where transient lodging is provided for compensation for stays of between 1 and 14 consecutive nights, and where the dwelling unit would normally be considered a residential living unit not associated with regulated commercial activities such as a hotel, motel, rooming, boarding, and lodging house, or bed and breakfast.
So it's for transients
Right.
and all the other things you mentioned.
For
Is this
14, for 14 or fewer nights. Yes, sir.
Is this gonna be voted on tonight?
Yes, sir.
You're gonna vote on it tonight?
Yes,
Is this the first time it was been heard?
yes.
That don't seem quite fair to me, but I guess it's not my choice.
What would delaying the vote be a benefit?
So that you could get some input from other people, you know, most people, I normally don't come to these, but that short-term thing in there, got my attention. I own like, I don't know, 70 units. I've been doing this for 52 years in Laconia. And I don't normally come to these. I'm not trying to stop anybody from doing anything. I like to do what I want to do. But the short-term thing and the transient thing is a problem for me, and I'd like to tell the neighborhood what's going on over there.
Okay, it was, the neighbors were notified.
Yeah, but I don't think they noticed the short-term thing.
Well, that's what it said in the
Yeah, I know it did.
notification.
And there was a notice in the Laconia Sun as well.
I don't think they understand the meaning. I didn't.
Okay, well, we are gonna move on it tonight, so,
Okay? I'll do what I need to do. Thank you.
very good, sir. Is there anybody else who'd like to speak? Christie, he did have a question, I can't,
Yeah,
you could come back up.
I think maybe he got a different understanding, but can I answer your question?
No,
I don't know, you better ask him, I guess.
yeah, she has to answer you.
Oh.
You have to address the board.
It seems that the word transient, and I'm not sure if he, we would be looking at it for people who are just coming there for vacation purposes. It wouldn't be filled with a whole bunch of people. There are no parties allowed. There's nothing of the sort. It's very strict. It's more of it's not a high-end rental because it's not lakefront property, but it is also, it'll be available for, let's say a nurse wanted to rent it for 7 nights because she's a traveling nurse and is helping out at the hospital here, or if there's a family who comes here and they have a relative who's in the hospital and they need a home to stay in rather than,
Local motel, yeah.
yeah, it's not going to be to people who are, I'm not sure, I think the transient word, I'm not sure where that.
That's the word that I'm
Maybe he was thinking it was like a halfway house or,
Right, he did mention,
but that's not what this is. This is more for a furnished rental for people who are going to abide by the rules. There's, a quiet time from 10 p.m. till 7 a.m. And these are people who are reviewed ahead of time. So you can see who you are renting to for the night, or if they, book for 2 nights because they want to come here and enjoy Laconia or enjoy the local attractions. But it's not for people to be running around all over the place.
thank you, Christie, you have a seat again, please. Discussion,
You want to close
I'll
that?
close the public meeting, unless Mr. Bean doesn't have a rebuttal.
Yep, I'm in favor.
Like I said in the past, this is the nicest house on the street. It's gonna do good for the neighborhood, not harm. It's gonna provide a short-term rental for, like Christie mentioned, the hospital, people visiting downtown, Colonial, skiing, everything. They bring money here, and they will not be the scourge of the neighborhood, the people that would rent this home. Yes, Eric.
So, in this zone, short-term rentals aren't by right? They need a special exception.
That's why she's here tonight.
One of the requirements of that special exception is that it be owner occupied.
Yep.
So shouldn't there also be a variance for that exception, or?
I thought, like, when we approved them, that was included.
But it's owner occupied or,
It is,
Or
it's
you have
owner
to-
occupied or with a special exception.
right, so the
So
special
if you're
exception.
owner
of the
occupied,
si-
it would be a permitted by right up to 120, 120 nights for 10
What zone
rentals.
is this in?
Yeah, that's, it's under 235-41M.
Didn't they
But
change
isn't
it
that
to
only in
150?
two different kinds of zones in the city that they're
No,
defined by right?
it's permitted by right with no restrictions in SFR and CR.
Right.
In the other zoning districts, the residential zoning district, it's permitted by right for 120 or fewer nights or 10 rentals a year. And you have to be owner occupied for 150 days a year.
Okay.
Thank you for bringing that up.
My only comment is that this is in the UC zone, urban commercial zone. And to me, this is more appropriate here than it is in the single-family residential zone, which we have denied before.
And I agree with you on that.
This zone is more appropriate.
I agree with you.
Okay.
And the entire road is multi-unit rentals
Mhm,
as well.
mhm.
Yeah.
So, seems to be leaning Christie's way. I would like to get a motion.
I'll be glad to make a motion.
Thank you.
And this is really, she's asking for a variance, but really she needs a special exception.
She has a special exception application.
She has a special
Yeah,
exception
and it was posted as a special exception.
Yes.
She was using the term variance, but she
Right.
requested the special exception.
because I wanted to go through the special exception criteria, so I want to make sure I'm on the right page here.
Yep.
I am, okay.
She has the submitted application you can use for reference as well.
Okay, so we are looking for granting a special exception from Article 7235-41M for a short-term rental not owner-occupied because it is in Zone UC Urban Commercial. And the criteria that has to be used is the following. The use requested is specifically authorized in this chapter. Yes, it is, by special exception, so one is met. Number two, the request will not create undue traffic congestion or unduly impair pedestrian safety. I don't think it will. I noticed the property has a nice long driveway. They can keep cars off the street. There's a sidewalk. I don't see where it's going to cause any traffic congestion. Number three, the request use will not overload any public water, drainage, or sewer system, or increase storm water off adjacent streets. I'm not aware of any problems that have been mentioned. Number four, the request will not create excessive damage or demand, for the police, the fire, schools, and no more so than any other property on Arch Street. Are there any special provisions that this board wants to enforce with this special exception?
None that I can think of. I don't know.
And for me.
No special provisions, okay. And the request will not create hazards to safety, general welfare, the public, and will not be detrimental to the character. It meets the character of the neighborhood, as indicated by Mike. The proposed location is appropriate, again, because it's in the urban commercial zone, and the request is considered part of the master plan. So for those reasons, I say that we grant the special exception.
Thank you for making it so clear.
Oh, you're so welcome.
We have a motion.
I will second.
Any further discussion? All in favor? Motion passes. Christie, let me just state, please, we've had trouble with short-term rentals. You know, fireworks at 10 o'clock at night, things like that. Please screen your tenants well. Thank you.
You have my word.
Good luck. Moving right along. Pine Brook Lane, the applicant is seeking a variance to allow for expansion of a garage. How do you do, sir?
Very good. Richard Westhoff here and my wife Cindy.
Richard
Richard Westhoff.
Westhop. How can we help you tonight?
So we submitted the request for a variance. If you recall, about a year ago, we were here with a different idea, and the zoning board suggested maybe a garage in the place that we're proposing to put it instead. But there's still going to be a small corner into which we will intrude into the setback. And so we've set out a plan whereby we would, I've sort of set out saying the minimum we'd like to have would be an 8-inch incursion in, and the maximum we'd like to have would be 2 feet 8 inches. So it's, I think.
So you can make it a little bit wider.
Yeah, so we could make it 13.
I saw
or
the
14
drawing,
feet
and
wide.
it was just the corner of the building, wasn't it? Not the whole length?
That is correct. Because of the shape of the lot, it's just the back corner which will impede or will intrude into that region.
Very
And
good.
so it's a reasonably small part. Last year, I think we talked about putting the house all the way up and extending the house out. And to keep the costs down, the plan is just to only extend the garage and then make a sloping roof.
Is it gonna stay in the same grade as the existing garage?
It will stay in the same grade as the existing garage.
I'm
It's
just
kinda
curious,
low
do you
and-
have water issues with that? Do you have a bilge pump there?
The good news is that previous owners put in a storm drain down there.
Uh-huh.
And I don't know exactly how it exists, but I believe that it's approved, because I know that they had a flood in there sometime in the past. But right down at the base of where the garage is, there is a storm drain.
Very good. Very good. Okay. Any questions from the members? All right, Richard, you can have a seat, and I have to ask if there's any neighbors or residents that would like to speak on this matter. We will open the public hearing, and I guess we're gonna just close it again, Scott, okay? No takers. I'm familiar with this property. I saw the drawings that he had, and I'm fine with the building going 2 feet into the
I look at it every day,
corner.
so.
And
Well, I
I
drive
think
by
the
it
house
several
right across
times
the
a day.
street, their garage is awful close to the sidewalk also. I'm not sure if it's the same measurements,
But I mean,
but,
But he did what we asked him to do when he came before us
Yes.
last time, and we made a suggestion,
And he's
so,
gonna be putting a pitch roof
Right.
on it, so it'll look good.
yeah.
So his particular home is out of all, just in the area of the neighborhood. His is actually centered in the home,
Which I've been
and
having
it is a community of, there's a lot of, pre-existing non-conforming
Yeah.
setbacks in the entire area, so the 2 feet is quite insignificant.
very good.
I'm fine with this.
I would seek a motion to help
Do they
out
open the
Mr. Westhop.
I can make a motion to approve application ZB 2026-009 as the variance is requested from Article 6, Sections 35A, and as specified by Mr. Westhoff. He has everything completed right here very nicely.
We have a motion.
Second,
Any further discussion? All in favor? Good luck, sir.
Thank you. Just to clarify, the largest one.
Yes, yes. 2 feet 8 inches is,
The largest one.
I don't want you to have to buy a Prius just to sneak in a little garage.
No, he meant the bigger one that he was thinking of.
Thanks for coming in tonight. Sorry you had to come back. actually.
Well, we have to go back to Vermont, our daughter got married.
Good for her.
So,
Alrighty, I think the crowd is for the next
I think so.
application. They're seeking a variance for a cul-de-sac that will extend 1,300 feet where only 1,000 feet is permitted. How do you do?
Good evening. My name is Sean Dunphy. I'm an attorney from Cronin, Bisson, and Zielinski in Manchester, and I'm here tonight on behalf of Parade REI LLC. With me tonight are the members. Owner.
The owner, Pete Grenier, Anthony Dalion.
And also the engineer, Nick Loring, is here as well to answer any questions that may come up about the design. We're here tonight to request a cul-de-sac that is 1,300 feet where 1,000 is allowed under the zoning ordinance. This property is a 150-acre parcel off of Pickerel Pond Road. The owner proposes to build a 26 single-family home subdivision, and the hope is to make that a cluster subdivision as opposed to a more spread out usual subdivision, which would have more roads, more impervious surface, and more, sprawl. The cluster subdivision allows the property owner to build these homes and provide open space along the properties. Other than this 1,300 square foot cul-de-sac, the property is compliant, or excuse me, the proposal is compliant with the subdivision regulations. I believe I said it, but it's a 150-acre parcel proposing 26 homes. I'm happy to go through each one of the variance elements one by one, but I'm happy to also answer any questions.
What's the little lollipop above the long road? It's like we have two roads here.
Like the small circle right by
Oh, the
Pickle
other-
Pond.
Yep, so there's one small circle right here. It's servicing these 5 lots.
Oh, okay.
And then this one here is a little bit longer. This is a 1,300 foot. And
So
That's the one you want the variance on.
that's
is
the
that
one we
correct?
need the variance
Yeah.
for, yes.
This one doesn't count as the 1,300 feet?
No.
Very interesting.
What are the sizes of the lots?
They're about 10,000 plus or minus.
Explain that in acreage, please.
It's quarter acre, approximate.
That's high density.
Rob, I guess this is for you. The lollipop doesn't count as added on to the 1,300 feet?
Nope. Nope, there's a
Can he
separate,
just
that's a
make
separate road.
like 5 lollipops instead? And
Well, so I think what the issue is in order to do the subdivision like this and avoid all of the wetlands, in order to navigate out all that way, you have to have a cul-de-sac or a road that's longer than 1,000 linear feet. So in order to achieve that, you really have to have that additional 300 feet.
okay, so if the frontage was on the bottom of the page, he couldn't just like put in 5 lollipops and get the same result.
So, because of the length of the lot is what the issue is, not,
Right.
the road frontage isn't the issue, it's just the depth of the lot.
I see.
There's no sewer from the city there. You'd have to have
They'd be all septics and
all
well,
septic. Will they all be individual septics?
individual septics, yeah.
But I don't think that's the matter for us today.
That's true.
No,
It
that's
does-
not,
That's
so
not
that's,
relevant.
I'm
that's
thinking
reviewed when it
within-
goes to planning board and
Yeah.
the state
Sorry about
regulates
that.
septic
Yeah.
systems.
It's just I'm curious.
Yeah.
Sorry, I didn't, I
Yep,
guess I
no
didn't need to ask
Any
that.
more questions from my fellow members? Okay, I'll ask you fellows to have a seat, and we'll open the public hearing. I see we have a big crowd. Let me just ask, if you're saying the same thing, you could just back up what John Doe said. You know, you don't have to put a big dissertation in. I'd like to say, make a time limit if things get carried away, okay? Please, come up and tell me how you feel about this project.
Hi, my name's Jim Jobin. I live at 255 Pickerel Pond Road. I just found out about this. A neighbor, Dave, dropped off some information at my house the other day. My only concern is there's a lot of water comes down the hill, and we're down on the pond, and you know there's a lot of water that moves down there. I'm not sure what the thought process is to, you know, that water doesn't end up all on me somehow. You know, we have a stream going through the property, and it can get pretty raging in the spring and during rain periods. And I don't know, I'm maybe late to the party, you're gonna vote on all this like the earlier ones, but I guess I'm interested to find out about how you're gonna handle the water. And where exactly is 255 in relation to this? Can you show me? Like where, do you know what we are on the other side of the road? I think if I come out my driveway, you're right to the left, but I'm not really sure. We're not here all the time, but I'm here enough to know how the water works over there. And from
Do
when
you
we
have
spent
issues now, Jim?
I do have issues actually coming down my driveway. I'll be here and
Uh-huh.
probably not too far in the future putting pavement in, so at least down the bottom end. Anyways, that's my only thing, as long as you've thought about the water. I mean, it is your property. But I also live in Florida and I know how water is. You know, they make retention ponds and everything else to deal with it, and but we're downhill from you guys.
Very good, Jim. When we close the public hearing, they'll have a chance to respond and tell how
That's it.
their plan for that. Yes, sir.
My name is Dave Willett, and I reside at 298 Pickerel Pond Road, which abuts this piece of property. I am the Dave that he referred to. I did get the word out to the neighbors because I believe that this is something that a lot of people don't see in the newspaper, and had I not been in a butter, I would not have got a notice. So first of all, I want to address the board and thank you for listening to me. And I have a bullet point here that I'd like to address. I'll try to stay on track because I know that there are many people behind me that are here for the same reasons. And this is not personal. This is not personal at all.
David, could you speak louder?
Is that better?
Yes.
Okay. I bought my land on Pickerel Pond Road approximately 40 years ago, and I've resided there for 31 years when I built my house 31 years ago. I abut this property. I know this property very well. It is wet. I'm not against development. I'm all for development as long as it's reasonable and responsible, and the effect that it has on everybody is considered. I'd like to talk about the number of residents on the road. There are, and pardon me for putting my elbows on the table, but that's the easiest way for me to speak into this
That's
microphone.
fine, Dave. Go ahead.
There are 22 residents on Pickerel Pond Road. Pickerel Pond Road is approximately 1 mile long. Of those 22 residents, and I'm talking structures, 2 of them are seasonal. Earlier, we heard one of the members of the zoning board talk about character of the neighborhood. Well, the character of the neighborhood would change drastically if we're talking quarter-acre lots. And I'm not gonna bore the board by going down through the list. I've listed out every parcel on the road and how many acres each parcel is. It ranges from 40 acres to 53 acres to 5.27 acres, 13 acres, 6.43 acres, 2.6 acres, 1.9 acres. The smallest lot that we have of the 22 lots on Pickerel Pond Road is a ½ an acre, twice the size as what the developer is proposing. I know we're talking about a variance of 300 feet. That 300-foot variance, in my opinion, and solely my opinion, is so that more house lots can be put in. Otherwise, why would you build 300 more feet of road? With any development, one has to consider road salt, fertilizer on septic systems, because we know that each one of these 22 house lots is going to have a septic system, as well as other contaminants. As I stand here before you, I can tell you that everything from this lot, and my lot as well, drains to the north into Pickerel Pond. Pickerel Pond is approximately 75 acres. The property that we're talking about has a tremendous amount of wetlands. And there is a very, very large swamp, bog, wet area, whatever term you put on it, that drains into Pickerel Pond. And if I may approach, I have 9 pictures here that I took yesterday of the bog. We're not talking about something the size of Pearly Pond. Would you like to see these pictures first?
Dave, is your property above or below this?
I'm to the west. of it.
Abutting
I
to the
abut that
west.
property to the west. I'd be happy to explain what any of the photos are.
The pond is right
I
here.
think they'll be self-explanatory. I think we all know that we're in a drought. I took those photographs yesterday, and my wife was so kind to go to Walmart and have them blown up and put them in frames, so that the council, so that the board could review these photos. The wetlands that we're talking about is bordered by 5 different property owners, myself being one to the west, a property owner by the name of Wallace, a property owner by the name of Paleo, the state forest, the Prescott Forest, and then lastly, the developer. This is a huge area of wetlands. And I just want the council or the zoning board to take into account that if you're granting a variance, it allows this road to go in 300 feet deeper into what my opinion is fragile wetlands. There's a tremendous amount of wildlife that live there. It's dry right now, and those pictures show standing water, but when there's water, there's water. I have 2 brooks that pass through my property that drain this wetlands. In the 40 years I've owned the property, I've never seen one of the 2 brooks dry. That brook is dry. So now would be the opportune time for development as far as wetlands, because the wetlands don't exist, but believe me, they're there. I'll talk about the road quickly, and then I'll turn it over to anybody else. We have a 10-ton limit on our road. Our road is a mile long. July of '24, the city came in and reclaimed the pavement on Pickerel Pond Road, and right now more than half of Pickerel Pond Road is a dirt road. It's a dirt road that has 9 culverts that go under it, and in the 40 years that I've owned my property, only 2 of those culverts have been addressed. There's no sidewalks. There's a limited base with limited drainage. And I was told directly by the Public Works Director that it would take over $1 million to bring Pickerel Pond Road up to city specs. So with a 10-ton limit and a 25-mile-an-hour speed limit and no sidewalks, I think a development of this size is going to definitely change the character of the neighborhood. You're talking about rural residential. You're talking about people with 5+ acres, as much as 60 acres. So, in closing, I thank you for hearing me. Hopefully I covered all my bullet points. I'm a little out of my wheelhouse here. And once again, this is not personal. I just want to see responsible, reasonable development. And I would ask the board to take into consideration the fragile wetlands that acts as a filter, that filters everything that ends up in Pickerel Pond, which ultimately ends up in Lake Winnisquam. Thank you.
Thank you, Dave. Thanks for coming. Who's next?
Hi, I'm Karen LaFlamme, and I live at 321 Pickerel Pond Road, and I've lived there since 2005. The first thing that I still don't understand is where this road is, so I first want to see if the 1,000 feet, where it ends, and how many lots they're picking up by the 300 feet. So if they could address that for me.
That's my
That would be most helpful.
Can we see too?
No, just,
I was gonna ask that question.
I wanna know why they can't start
Address
with
the
thousand.
board,
but this is,
this road this is Pickerel Pond Road, this is that existing Pickerel Pond. Our road, the 1,300 foot is to the back of this cul-de-sac. So when you talk about what the 1,000 foot would put this cul-de-sac about.
1,000 would be right there.
But no, where you,
Right there.
yeah, what area?
Mike,
You
this,
know
Mike,
better.
Mike, this is gonna get out of hand.
Folks,
Hold on.
So, no, stop. You just need to have the
I'm
guys.
just trying, I
I
just
think
want to
it's-
clarify what I was saying.
I'm going to let the presenters address your questions at the end of the public hearing.
I'm sorry.
I'm writing down all the questions that people are asking, and we'll you address the board, ma'am, and
Okay.
then the next person can have a chance, please.
The small cul-de-sac, another question I have is that part of any of the
I
measurements?
was questioning that myself. Why doesn't it count towards the 1,000 feet also? So
Okay.
we will ask that question.
Okay, so
after.
that's going to be addressed also.
Uh,
Like everybody else, have a major situation. We have 150 acres of land. The other question that really baffles me is, why are they putting it all down there? How much of that 150 acres is buildable land? So if you've got 150 and you're squeezing it all down into quarter-acre lots, that kind of tells you how much water is on that lot. I, too, have a brook that goes behind my house. When the power goes out in the dead of winter or any time, it's a running brook that I can scoop water out and flush my toilet if I don't have power. It's not running right now. I drive up and down that road. David has a major river beside his lot, and when construction takes place, where's that water going to go? It's going to go to the point of getting to the lake and getting to the pond. It's an extremely wet lot. In the during duck season, I feel like I'm in a civil war. There's gunshots of people, shooting ducks up there, and it's loud and crazy. That's how wet it is back there. I didn't get to see those pictures. I have walked that lot. I know the you cannot walk it without good high boots on. It's wet. It's very wet. And what happened in 2017 is that lot was logged. And the road, when I moved in, was beautiful. The town had just done it. It still doesn't have a proper base, so it deteriorated during that time, but it still was passable. The log trucks that weigh about 30 tons loaded up or more, I could drive behind them and watch their wheels cave in the road. The road is a disaster. It's not wide enough for 2 cars at some points. It's not. It's washed out a lot of times. When the town pulled up the pavement, we had rocks that popped up before through the pavement. That's how much the water was.
It happens.
And they had X marks on it in orange to show, watch out for the rock that's sticking up in the road. And we were told the road was going to get paved this year, and I'm glad it did not, because if this starts, we're going to have 5 years at least of equipment, far greater. Every piece of equipment that comes down there, from an excavator that weighs 30 tons. I was in the building business. I've ripped up a road before and had to pay for it. And we've got a bad base. The roads I was on didn't have what they had here. And it's 150 acres. The fact that they're squashing all this into quarter-acre lots and small lots tells you how wet it is. And the water is going to come down and do such damage, additional damage to an already very, very bad road. It's tough. Right now, I've need new ball bearings because it's all
Karen,
washed
I'll
out.
remind you of the time limit, please.
Okay, I'm sorry. let me just go through. I'm not thrilled about the boundary. I already asked the question, and so we'll have it at and what is usable on that lot? How many acres are usable on that
Okay,
lot?
I will have the contractors address
I
that,
think
Karen.
that's all I have to say, but
Thank you for coming in.
I want to say it one more time. Water knows how to search its way downhill.
Thank goodness. Who would like to speak next? How do you do, sir? Thank you for coming in.
Brian Patterson, 203 Pickerel Pond Road, so across the street. And I just have a few concerns. And again, I'm concerned about the wear and tear on the road that doesn't have a proper base, which is already deteriorated. It's going to get worse. And then the impact of this increasing our, the population on this road by 120% or so, or number of residents, is going to have a significant impact on our neighborhood. And, from noise pollution, light pollution, general pollution, I don't know what impact it's going to have on the aquifers, but granting an extra 300 feet to get that many more lots is just going to have that much more impact, and I don't know that it's going to be a big payoff to the town in terms of the cost-benefit analysis, because you don't make that much on each house cumulative, even though it brings in increased taxes. The net is probably not that much, and it's going to impact us a lot.
Thank you, Mr. Patterson. Hello.
Hello, my name's Matt LeBranch. I live at 140 Pickerel Pond Road. My biggest concern is the cost of the damage to the road to the taxpayers of the whole city after this project is developed. As we've said, it's a very old road. The first house is probably 235 years ago. And since then, it's only been added to. We put a culvert in, we put in some good gravel, that's it. As minimal as possible, which is just fine for what we've had for all these years. Speed up to 2000, we put in the 911 system for the entire state, the federal government said. Okay, and at that time, that road was not one road, it was two roads with a dead end with a class 6 transition through the mud and the cat of nine tails past Dave's towards Meredith Center Road, where there's Pickerel Pond on the right or left, and then Dave's little field and the other pond on the other side. That was all mud, non-passable, previous to 1998. So then when the federal government dumped some gravel in there, put in a culvert and such, pavement, that was a pretty good spot. Same thing up by Mr. Jobin's house. They got a big 5-foot culvert underneath the road. Again, that was federal money, so they threw it right at it. They could afford it. And then they paved the whole thing, which was on top of a very soft base, which we still have. This spring, when we had weeks and weeks of rain, that whole section of road in front of this development was nothing but mud. I had to put my truck in 4-wheel drive to be able to get through if I didn't have heavy weight in the back, because it would just sit and spin. It was so muddy. There's a lot of clay in there. Again, this is just a road that's just, houses have been developed. Nobody's ever really built a road base of gravel on. With that concern, I just want to address and let the city know that, that's a financial thought we have to consider. There's going to be a lot of material coming out of where they want to build their road base, a lot of material coming in with trucks. And then you have the hundreds of loads of concrete that'll be coming in at 60 tons apiece, form trucks, lumber trucks, just continuous use of the road. So just want to make sure they organize fixing it correctly at the right time. Don't try to pave it before we develop it, because by the time you're done developing, they'll have to grind it up like they did last time because it was so beat up last time. That's all.
Thank you, Matt.
Thank you.
How do you do, sir?
Hi, Bill Madden from 104 Pickle Pond Road. I've walked back there, it's some beautiful wetlands, and I just think another 300-foot football field will have a negative, more negative effect on the whole development. That's all I have to say.
Very good, sir. Thank you for coming in.
How's everyone this evening?
How do you do?
I'm Jared Champagne. My family owns a piece of property on 219 Pickerel Pond Road, which is across the street from the building. My concern is just the environmental effect. I mean, all that water from the development is not going to stay on that side of the road. It's all going to get pushed across the street into Pickerel Pond. You know, you put 26 wells out there. Where's it getting its water from? The wetlands. It's all gonna, over time, usage, just gonna dry everything out, and I just think it's gonna be a big environmental impact to the area. That's all I have to say. Thank you for listening to me.
Thank you for coming in, Mr. Champagne. We're friendly here. Come on up.
I'm Rainey Macy. We live directly across from the proposed land usage here. One of the questions I have, the first cul-de-sac, the shorter of the two.
Mr. Mason, address the board, please. and
Sorry.
then They'll answer their question.
I'm curious, our house is directly, or our property is directly across from this land, and on the opposite side of the road where this wetlands is, it seems to me where the smaller of the two cul-de-sacs is going is an old logging road there with a gate that goes across, and it was used as a snowmobile trail for more than a decade.
Yeah, they closed that up.
Yeah, that's sort of closed off there. I'm just sort of curious of proximity where that is. So by increasing the road size from 1,000 feet to 1,300, I was curious how many additional lots that gives them. And when it's said and done, these are streets at some point. Does the town then own and maintain those roads, or is that something that is going to be sole ownership of the
Good
development
questions,
itself?
Mr. Mason. We will ask that of these gentlemen.
And then, utilities, obviously they need electric and cable and Ethernet phone, whatever. If it then becomes town property, is the town supplying those items to the houses there? And from reading what the town classifies as cluster housing, I know it was stated earlier that there's single-family houses going in there. I was curious of what, types of single families they're proposing. But it seems that cluster housing can also be multi-use or multi-family housing. They could put 2 families or 3 families or 4 families there. So therefore, instead of perhaps, I think this is subdivided to 26 lots, which apparently is in flux, depending on the, whether this approval is moved forward or not. So could it potentially be, instead of 26 residences, could it be, 3 times that, 2 times that, 4 times that? My biggest concern, the stream that runs just, I guess that would be, on the other side of the smaller cul-de-sac, there's the little wetlands area that they have marked off. The stream that crosses the road there goes right completely down through our property and under our driveway and then down the right side of the house. As Dave was saying, you know, and we've owned the property over 20 years, and I think I've seen it dry twice. Now is one of them. There probably, but, you know, 12 or 15 years ago when we had torrential rains and like the same year, same time that Weirs Boulevard, the beach, all the waterfront washed out.
Yes.
We couldn't get out of our house. I mean, you know, what's now a dry stream at that point was a raging river. And it took 60 yards of fill just to make it passable, and then we had to dig it back up again to put in culverts and rectify that situation. And I know it's part of Winnisquam watershed, and I was trying to find data on the water quality. Limited information on it other than, you know, the algae blooms and all that have become more and more of an issue in recent years. They're more frequent, they last longer. You know, and part of that is runoff from residential properties and roads and whatnot. So I guess those are my concerns.
Good questions, Mr. Mason. I hope we could get answers for you. Hello.
Hi, my name's Jen Kreitzer. I live at 316 Pickerel Pond Road. I have lived there for 22 years. I'm just going to piggyback off what all of my neighbors have said. I don't really have a ton to add. I would say, and I think Dave actually mentioned this, but I know part of the criteria for the variance is that it not be contrary to altering the neighborhood, basically. And I believe that that is actually something that would occur with putting in this cul-de-sac. I also have significant concerns about the wetlands. Obviously, everyone has mentioned that, but wetlands, to me, not just from the perspective of what you think about the land wetlands, but the whole ecosystem of what that implies. So, you know, that affects really every aspect of our ecosystem. So I think, you know, we're not just talking about, oh, there's this land that might be wet. Everything that wetlands implies includes the entire ecosystem there. And I think that by putting, you know, this cul-de-sac in and going as deep as it's going, that could have implications there. So I just want to, I'll second what Dave said. I just want to make sure that things are being done responsibly and that every aspect is being considered. Thank you.
Thank you for coming in, Don.
Mr. Chair, members of the board, my name is John Cronin, 7B Roberts Road in Guilford. I've worked with the applicants here quite frequently, and Attorney Dunphy's covering for me this evening, but just listening to some of the comments. I want to give the folks that are worried about ecosystem and water some assurances that a project like this has very rigorous regulations by DES. It's requiring AOT permit. And there are chapters and chapters of regulations that deal with the balance between development, private property rights, and impacts to soils and water. In New Hampshire, every development of this type has to do a pre- and post-development analysis to the satisfaction of DES to get an AOT permit. And you have to show the volume and velocity of your water, both pre- and post-development, as stays on your property. Right now, you have a large parcel, no doubt it has wetlands, with no treatment, no type of wetland or stormwater drainage design. A project like this requires that type of analysis, and it requires that type of input. So when you get a home or you get some pavement with impervious cover, there's things that you can do to mitigate that, such as gutters. You can have rain gardens, that's another technique that you do. But the variance here is pretty limited. It's to the length of the roadway in the cul-de-sac. And maybe the comments, many of them tonight are better for a planning board when they deal with that sort of stormwater issue. But as I know this board knows, in other cases I've had, that the original basis in every zoning ordinance for a limit on a cul-de-sac on private property was fire and emergency safety, right? In the olden days, the water trucks and the pumper trucks only had 1,000-foot distance in which they could transport water to treat a fire. Now, with modern equipment, many of them are longer, and we see cul-de-sacs going as far as 3,000 feet. And the legislature had a bill in this session, which did not pass, came close, probably being introduced. It was going to cut off the statutory or the zoning ordinance limitation and make it a case-by-case analysis driven by the fire department. In this case, you have the fire department saying that they're satisfied with this length if the appropriate cisterns are put in place, which we're willing to accept, or the applicant is, as a condition of this approval, and they will design it accordingly. So I think as far as the scope of the variance, it's pretty limited. And when you look at the size of that lot and DES authority to impact wetlands to build roads, you know, the alternative, you could have a traditional subdivision with a lot more roadway, a lot more wetland impact, a lot more drainage. Not good for the environment, right? That's why you have this cluster type design. Not really good for anyone. So I think this is the highest and best use layout that Nick and his team drew up. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Cronin. Is there anybody else who would like to speak? Dave, you want a rebuttal?
I have one question.
Sure.
Actually, there's two. On the wetland surveys, I assume that a survey was done prior to today. And when was that done, and was there more than one done? That's one question. And the other question is, if this is a cluster development, my understanding is, and I may be wrong, I've been many times, that the undeveloped land would be available for people within the development to use, if I'm correct in that idea. Who would oversee the use of that land? I.e., if you had 22 house lots in there and you had a neighborhood that had a couple of dirt bikes, can they now traverse through this other 110 acres of undeveloped land? And if so, who oversees that?
Good questions,
Thank
Dave. Is there anybody else who would like to add a comment?
I'd just like to ask one more question. If
Certainly.
Once all these are developed, could they each add an auxiliary dwelling unit with the new government regulations that have been
Good
passed?
question, Matt.
Thank you.
Don't see why not.
It's about 7:30. We did faster than I expected with this crowd. At this time, I'll close the public hearing. I'll give one more chance if anybody wants to speak. Otherwise, I will ask.
I just want to ask one more question too. Has any perk test been done on any of these?
I'm
little
sure
lots?
those will be addressed, Karen.
Okay, because I'm seeing all these circles with well radius, and I don't see how they're building a house on here once they have a well radius and a septic system where the house is gonna go.
Okay, we will close the public hearing officially at this time. Attorney Matt, Sean? I'm sorry, I can't remember your last name.
Dunphy, D-U-N-P-H-Y. As Attorney Cronin noted, a lot of the issues that were brought up are planning board issues that can be, you know, dealt with at the appropriate time. We're here tonight just for the 300 square feet of road, or 300 feet of road, excuse me, in order to complete this development as proposed. I know there were some engineering questions. I don't know if there's anything you want to touch on or just. Sure.
Good evening, everyone. I know I was introduced earlier, but my name is Nick Loring. I'm with Benchmark LLC. We did the engineering on this project. To address, I know a lot of the concerns that came up, a lot of them they're all planning board. A lot of these are planning board issues, but I can just, you know, to answer some real broad questions, it seemed like water was one of the big things that came up. And this project, it's gonna impact over 100,000 square feet. So we are automatically need to apply to NHDES alteration of terrain. They're kind of the end-all be-all of drainage. So anytime you add impervious, which is roofs, driveways, your roads, all that area needs to be treated. And AOT, from a stormwater perspective, looks at that from your flow rates and also from treatment. And they require an infiltration. So there's three kind of parameters that they really look at. And we need a permit from them as well as review through the TRC review process prior to going to planning board. So wetlands was another issue. If I could just flip this over real quick to show you, to give you an idea of the total parcel. The plan you've been seeing is for that very top upper piece that has frontage on Pickerel Pond Road. The parcel is 150 acres. This is the rest of the property back here. So we're looking to concentrate our development as a cluster development in the front. We do meet all the cluster development regulations. This is the one item. It talks about all the roads regulations need to be met. So we do have the exceedance of the 1,000-foot limit, which is why we're here tonight. And that extra 1,300, the 1,300 feet has the extra 300. We did reach out to the fire department because this really comes to a safety issue. And they said if the 300 feet, if we had the fire cisterns on that, that would meet 600 feet to all structures, that they're okay with the application. And that's everything I have. This will be any septic and wells, that's all regulated by NHDES, and they'll all be approved through them.
One question, Nick.
Sure.
The fire cisterns, are they like big fiberglass tanks you put in the ground?
They're underground,
to
yeah.
store,
Yep.
Like 1,000 gallons? How?
30,000 gallons.
30,000 gallons.
Yep,
Is that
yeah.
like swimming pool size? I'm curious.
Yeah, 30,000 gallons would be a big, like an in-ground swimming pool
Okay.
type size.
Thank you, Nick.
Yep, and as far as wetlands go, we did have 2 wetland scientists that were out there. They delineated. Once we got past the front section, they really just focused on the larger wetland areas, because under open space subdivision, we have to put any area that we develop, and as part of our development, there needs to be at least the same area in a conservation or open space easements. So we have blocks of land back there that we've had delineated out, and those will be our areas of open space.
So Nick, one of the questions was, how many extra lots are you getting because you're going the extra 300 feet?
Yep, so let me just draw where the 300 falls. Might be a little difficult to see, but you have right in this area here between lots 14, 15, and lot 6, that's where 1,000 feet is measured straight through the cul-de-sac to the end. So you're looking past that cul-de-sac, you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 lots. One of the things we have looked at and discussed is we wanted to provide road through that, because you can do some shared driveways off the end of the cul-de-sac for this. We just thought this is a cleaner application. Every lot has frontage there. as opposed to having shared driveways, kind of coming back to these rear lots. It's not that we'd get any less lots, it's just, we think if it's gonna be, to answer another question, a town-owned and maintained road, it's a lot cleaner to have everyone with their own separate driveways and separate frontage on that road.
If you were to keep it at 1,000 feet, you'd still have a cul-de-sac at the end, right?
Yes, that's
Yeah.
correct.
So how many homes would you lose if you did that?
6, right?
How many fewer homes would be built if you only used 1,000 feet?
I think we'd have the same amount because you could run your shared driveways off the end of that cul-de-sac. It's just,
They would share driveways instead of having
Yep.
their own road.
If I could just add in, so I think what they're trying to relay is that it'd be more efficient for them to have the road. If you look at, for example, Governor's Crossing, which went in 2007, I believe, that was also a cluster subdivision. And instead of doing all the roads, they did a plethora of shared driveways. So there's driveways literally cutting across different lots. And it really kind of cuts up the subdivision. So you could still get the same amount of units in there. It's just the aesthetics of how it looks and how everything functions is more efficient with the road as opposed to the shared driveway.
Thanks, Rob.
You're welcome.
Do we need special wetland permits for any of this, what's proposed tonight?
no, with the
That's-
proposal that we have here, there's no wetland impacts. There is a potential for a couple conditional use for buffer impacts, but no wetland impacts, and those are through the planning board.
Let's see, any questions that we're failing to answer?
Locations of the cul-de-sacs and reference to properties across the street.
Yeah.
Because one of the guys asked whereabouts is my lot, compared. 'cause
Yeah,
it's-
I believe the metal gate is where the big road is proposed, am I correct?
Yes.
Thank you.
No, that's not correct.
Oh, sorry, this small, the upper cul-de-sac up here is.
The lollipop.
Yeah, you can
Okay.
see there's a break in the end of this stone wall.
God, this is a tough one. How many lots?
Oh, we don't
The-
know who's gonna take care of the road.
The city will own the roads,
I don't think that matters. We're only being asked. They could do this if it were 1,000 feet. They wouldn't have to even be here. They could just, all they're asking for is 300 feet. Do we want to allow them to have 300 extra feet? That's all we're being asked.
Another football field.
Nothing else applies. The rest of it is for
Well-
planning board.
the fragile wetlands apply. And
DES will take care of all of
I'm
that.
afraid,
Let's close the public meeting and we can talk about it.
okay. Sean, please, have a seat, we'll close the public meeting. They're gonna build 26 lots, no matter what we do here.
Right.
No, the thing is, no, the thing.
Am I correct?
No.
Or if-
Yep.
No, Marcia's right to say, almost all, except for maybe character of the road, every single one of the issues that the public has brought up will be managed in planning board. Really, the water issue is the biggest one. And actually, the attorney said it really very well. Actually, the water situation on the entire quadrant of the road will be improved with the subdivision. The state is ridiculously tough when it comes to managing this type of thing. There are permits, there are inspections, there are everything. That is all managed from the planning board side all the way through construction. In the end, it will improve the drainage, and I'm gonna suspect, and I can't make it a decision for the planning board, but the planning board would probably require them to do something with the road as well. And I'm not saying that, but again, that's not before us. Oh, Director, quick question. Why do we have this here? Maybe this is an overarching one, because it's only the fire department and the DPW that has this 1,000. Why don't they just say, yeah, we're fine with the 1,300 feet?
So it's specifically written into the zoning ordinance under cluster subdivisions. It's kind of,
Okay, yeah, I get it. I understand now. Okay, yeah, that totally makes sense. So that's all that this is. This is not a building thing, it's not a wetland thing, it's not an anything. All that this is so that city services can get into the property. And, so that's what I said. So,
I would
I'm
echo
sorry.
that, you know, the concerns about the ecological impact, the drainage concerns, the condition of Pickerel Pond Road, these are all real concerns, and these are all, you know, issues that need to be addressed for this, but that's not what we're voting on, and honestly, no matter which way we vote, it doesn't affect any of those things.
Exactly.
So, that's on the planning board's plate to deal with those issues.
So, Rob, because these are really, they are, as you said, very important concerns, and it really is up to planning board, are these people do they get notified by planning board?
yes.
So that they can come and speak to
Yes,
planning
they'll get
board?
notified when this application comes in for planning board. There'll be as it's a cluster subdivision, they're required to do a conceptual. I don't know if they've done that yet. No. So they'll have to do a conceptual, that'll go to planning board, and then they'll have a public hearing, and that'll be publicly noticed as well. So there will be an opportunity at planning board for them to speak, and they will get public notice again. So there will be an opportunity.
And that's where I encourage everyone to show up to planning board.
Well, we're not there yet.
And just to add that in there, a drainage study is required when it goes to planning board, and subdivisions that are over 10 units are required to have a traffic study. So that will also be required when it goes to planning board, along with everything else. And as they highlighted, there's still the AOT permit that's required, and it is very rigorous. We additionally, we're hiring our project manager that's going to be starting in this next year. So there's literally going to be, hopefully, an engineer that's out there from the city every day reviewing all these large projects, trying to safeguard developments like this and the residents. So I think that the city is very focused on environmental concerns as well.
Would it be fair to say that the condition of Pickerel Pond Road will be taken into account when assessing impact fees and the likelihood of damaging that road?
Absolutely, and there's also going to be there's site security that's required for every development, and there'll be a pre-construction meeting that's also required. So if there's any damages done to the road, it's up to the developer to repair those damages to the city requirements that Public Works will outline for them in that pre-construction meeting.
Excuse me, I have one question.
The-
Do they get to
ma'am.
use our 10-ton road for all of their construction vehicles? Do they get to have a pass on our 10-ton load limit every time they come in? That's what I'd like to know.
That's something for the highway department to address, ma'am. I think all these people are here tonight because they were hoping we could reduce this from 26 lots to 20 lots. The cluster development's going in no matter. Well, it's gonna happen
That's why we're here.
no matter what we vote tonight, yes or no. They're still gonna get a cluster development. It may not be 26 lots, it might be 23 lots with shared driveways. We can't stop them from developing the property.
You can protect the property.
Absolutely. But
1,000 feet versus,
it's more of
1,300.
a safety issue by making the road 1,300 feet instead of 1,000 feet. It's so the fire, ambulance, police could have access to each home without shared driveways.
If the board so chose, that you could condition that they meet the fire life safety code for the road,
that would be good.
Well, the cul-de-sac would,
for the cul-de-sac.
Yeah. Plus the cistern. That's a tough one.
Can I ask one more question?
No, it's been closed.
I'm sorry.
You can't open up the public
No,
meeting
you're-
again
you're right.
without offering notice. We can't do that. It's been closed. I'm sorry.
Again, I'll say it one more time. No matter what we vote here tonight, the development is going in. They could make it half-assed with shared driveways, or they could have a decent road to the end.
With the cul-de-sac, would be pretty.
I don't want to go against all these people that are here trying to protect Pickerel Pond.
Well, maybe the planning will be,
But that's why they go to planning board.
I'm all for conservation.
so we're just talking about
They go to planning
extending
board.
the road for the cul-de-sac.
It's gonna make no difference. They're still gonna get 26 houses. Am I correct in that,
Yes. Yep. Yep.
Attorney Shaw?
You can't ask him. It's closed.
Okay.
Can't open it.
All right. Any more discussion?
Why don't you ask each of us how we feel?
No, I agree, this is a tough one, and, we have to focus on what's in front of us and what we've been asked to decide. For
Do you
better
wanna
or
put,
worse.
do you wanna put those conditions on the decision then about, what did we say, the cisterns and what about the cul-de-sac, did you mention,
It would
Rob?
have to be fire.
But you really can't say a cistern. A cistern is just one method of providing water
Water.
for the fire department.
Right.
That would be like, you're gonna have your house and you're gonna put a condition to say, it has to be green paint. Well, what if you want blue paint?
And didn't the fire department already say that,
Well, okay,
that had to?
we
to-
have that from the applicant.
Right, that
But,
they,
but I'm also gonna guess that, I would be kind of curious to see how long this 1,000-foot rule has been in place. And again, neither here nor there. If the fire department, they could close this down even before it gets to planning by just this one thing.
Mhm.
And I suspect that what they are saying is true, that it's not an issue for them.
okay.
So I'm in fan of this. Something's gonna happen, and this is the best way to make it so that every single one of the abutters' concerns are absolutely managed in a really, really good way. The city's doing a fantastic job with this these days. I'm a fan of the additional 300 feet.
I would think that because there's not city water available at this location, that we should ask for the cisterns, because what other source of water is there?
Wells.
No,
The fire department.
Oh, that's a requirement. That's
Well,
not.
cisterns are one way. Another way is they make, in a stream, they create a pool within a stream, and then
Yes.
they pull it right out of a stream.
Yeah, going up to Gunstock, there's one on the side of the road.
There's actually quite a lot of them if you drive down the road to see them. So, all I'm saying, I don't think that for me, I don't think that there's any reason to specify a cistern, because the fire department at planning is gonna manage that anyway.
Agreed.
Gotcha.
Okay. Okay.
Someone want to make a motion?
Come on, Eric.
Actually, this is actually kind of easy because the applicant has put together a very nice detailed application. So I make a motion to grant the variance for application ZB 2026-010 on Pickerel Pond Road, and to use as evidence, to use the criteria that, or the explanation that has been listed in the application.
I will second.
Any more discussion?
Nope.
Sure we've discussed it enough.
We did. All those in favor?
All those in favor of Marcia's motion? I'll abstain. Motion passes for. Thank you. Do a good job.
Thank you. We will be proud.
Well, you have to satisfy all those people.
Well, they answered my questions sufficiently.
It's unfortunate that, they have a lot of serious concerns, and I don't blame them. But they
Gonna
didn't
change
really
the character of
realize
the
what
neighborhood.
we're
But
being
that's
asked
not
of
for us to
tonight.
decide.
That wasn't up to us tonight, but they don't know that.
And it's not our job to make it emotional either.
That wasn't for us. It's hard to separate that, but we have
Yes, those wetlands are fantastic. I mean, it's tough.
So we did Pine Brook Lane. Is there anything else left on our agenda?
Same development
Just have
as
the
my
one
notes.
other business item.
Yep.
He was gonna
Here?
Yep.
get a voodoo doll on us if he said no tonight.
May I approach to collect the photographs?
Oh, yes, and they're very nice.
Have
Let's hope it stays nice.
Save them for the planning board.
Well, I'll bite my tongue now. Thank you.
She went through a lot of expense to do that.
Yeah.
Well, wetlands are very important.
Yes.
Okay,
Have a good night, thank you.
good night.
Thank you, sir.
Good night, Dave.
Somebody looks like they could have left that purse here.
The way that
Is there a
wetlands,
credit card?
I'll let you do that.
Oh, a purse.
We're going to Hector's.
the way the way,
I don't wanna go to Hector's.
Thanks.
Let's go to
Thank you.
the
local
way,
instead.
by the way, for you guys' information, the way that wetlands are determined, it's not that you look at it and see that there's water in it. There's actually two ways to determine it. It's the vegetation can only grow in certain places with certain water, but also through soil samples. They actually dig into the ground, and you can see through like a cross-section of the soil where the seasonal high average water is within the soil. And for every septic system, every well,
Okay.
it takes that terrain, the study of the terrain in this entire platform that they're making this do. And so that is defined like ridiculously exact. The state
Yeah,
is.
something tells me they'll all have little mountains
State
of
is-
septic systems in
Yeah,
their
probably.
yards.
Well, it seems to me that the whole subdivision is put on the only one spot where there's actually not wetlands. So my guess is probably that there's some decent soil.
That's why I kind
We're
of
gonna have a lot of mosquitoes.
said
I wouldn't want to live
1,300
there in the spring.
better.
The mosquito squad out there.
I think in general, the public just really has no knowledge about how these
Did
things.
somebody
Oh,
take the
she's got,
purse?
she has her purse.
We have that,
Good.
we have that
You have one more.
extra item.
You have one more.
Oh, she's looking to
Extra
see
item.
whose purse it is.
86 Chapin Terrace
She
Oh.
is appealing
Yeah.
our decision.
Are they here tonight?
Yes, they are.
You don't, this is not a public
She's
hearing, though.
hiding. You
This
can't
is
see
a
her
motion
from
for
where
a
you're sitting.
rehearing. So,
He just can't see you.
I remember you from last month. You did a great presentation, and I think the neighborhood was poisoned by the neighbor. Like I said on the short-term lodging that we approved tonight, the people that use those facilities are not the scourge of the neighborhood. They are upper crust of the neighborhood. Are you here in official business, or? how-
It was submitted to all of you.
Yeah.
The appeal.
Yeah.
She feels a mistake was made at the board level for you to review and possibly.
Well, it was a 3-2 vote. Come on up and tell us your appeal, please.
Well,
I
could just
forgot
ask,
your
What
name.
is the procedure with this?
Yeah.
I think this is the first time we've ever done this in my city.
It's a motion for rehearing and
It's a
request to
motion for
vacate, so don't we have to vote first?
so it is a motion for rehearing, so generally speaking, there's no comment from the public. It's, you review the application and you discuss amongst the board of, did you procedurally make a mistake? Was there a factual, was there data that wasn't reviewed? And you look at what they've provided, and then you make that determination. And then it is your call as a board to decide to call her up or call them up and ask them questions. And then you make a motion to vote of, yes, you're gonna grant them a motion for a rehearing, or.
And it would be public notice.
And then they would go
I
back to the
see,
zoning
I
board
see.
process again. There'd be another public notice, and they'd go to the next zoning board meeting, should you decide to
Okay,
grant
so
them. the
we're not
motion.
deciding tonight, we're just asking for
Right,
another
you're not
hearing.
granting or disproving anything, you're just saying, yes, we grant your motion for your rehearing, or we don't grant your motion for it.
So we're not even getting any input from her. She's here, and she's welcome to be here to observe?
If, generally speaking, you're not getting input from them, you're
Okay,
looking at the
that's
facts that are presented.
And so what?
That is your call as a board if you decide to go that other route, but generally speaking, that is
Got
not
it,
the
fair
process.
point.
in
So
which-
what we're doing is we are just taking a second look. We made our decisions for our own personal reasons, or our own corporate together and individual reasons, where this review is to say, okay, did we see everything procedurally? Did we follow our rules, at least in our part? That's what this is
Yeah,
about.
and if there was any information that was overlooked or misinterpreted, it's your opportunity to
Understood.
review all those facts and then re-examine your decision and then decide
Got it.
what your next best course of action is.
Okay. So I'm all for granting her another hearing. I forgot your name, I'm sorry.
I'm Andrea Vessels.
Andrea Vessels?
Yes, my husband is William Vessels, 86 Shapen Terrace. He's just
What would be the reason you would want to grant a rehearing? What is the reason that they should be allowed a rehearing? Where did we go wrong in our decision making?
Yeah, because honestly, I've looked through this and I find a lot of the things mentioned in this request are just not relevant.
I agree.
And I read through it as well, and I'm in the same place. I voted to approve it, by the way, because I also am in favor of short-term leasing that's done responsibly, and the applicant presented that very well of the management of everything. Really, the whole hurdle, Mike, is simply that the neighbors,
You didn't pick it up?
again, the public just doesn't know the process, and they're afraid of it. And
It's very important.
so that's
But
that.
the point is, the decision was 3-2.
Yep.
So when you look at the reasoning that was presented, why they deserved a rehearing, I don't see where anything was missed or that we did anything inappropriate, that this board did anything inappropriate during our decision-making process. And so therefore, I don't find any reason to allow for a rehearing.
I tend to agree. I mean, I'll concede that the one point made about, where are we at? The impact to municipal services. I think they raise in here a valid point about,
The sewerage?
yeah, about maximum occupancies and things like that, and I think, fine, but I think that's not really the reason any of us didn't vote for it. I think it's because
The community.
it's a special exception, right? It's not granted by right, and
Right.
the
yes.
character of the neighborhood is a primary consideration when deciding that.
Yeah.
And I don't see anything in here that would change my mind about that.
What's our next step here, Rob?
Do we make a vote, like one of us to approve or disapprove and someone seconds
Yep,
it?
so after you've made your determination, you're gonna have to vote of whether you're going to allow them the rehearing or to deny them the rehearing.
Since Ms. Vessels came here tonight, can we let her tell us why we should grant the rehearing?
That
It's
is,
in her application.
and that's your choice.
She did a whole
Didn't read
separate
it.
section.
Eric can hand it to you.
Yeah,
I have it
I
here.
read it all.
I did too.
And the major hurdle was
The way the community is gonna be affected.
the outrage of the neighbors,
Right.
not the sewer and water.
There's a reason it's a special exception in that zone, right?
So
It's a single-family neighborhood, and there's concerns about that. Yeah.
It's unfortunate that the applicant was misinformed about this when acquiring the property, but again, that's not really relevant to our decision because it doesn't change what the actual zoning is.
I felt bad about this, Ms. Vessels, honestly. You know, Rich and I voted for it, but Marcia makes a good point that, you know, we can't put us in double jeopardy by rehearing it again because we did due diligence last month. I'm sorry the vote didn't go your way. I really believe short-term rental would be a benefit, but the other board members did not feel so, and it was a 3-2 vote. I can't see why we need to rehear it.
There isn't any rationale to rehear it.
It's a good point.
Now, the applicant has recourses after this, but this needs to be done here first.
I make a motion to deny a rehearing.
I'll second.
Further discussion? In favor? I'll abstain again. I'm sorry, Ms. Vessels.
That's okay. I thank you for, reading this over and for listening to, what we had to say in the first place, in our first meeting. I can't say that I agree with your decision, but I respect your opinion.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Live in the home for a little bit. 150 days a year, you could do it. Good luck. Another one I feel bad about. That's okay. You don't have to feel bad.
Good, because I don't.
There's nothing to be, this board should be a non-emotional thing. We just deal with the facts.
Right.
Well, we have emotions. You know, people have
No,
emotions.
it's fine.
Like our crowd in the audience, you know, all pleading for us to save Pickerel Pond. And it's out of our hands to save
They're
Pickerel
gonna do
Pond.
it anyway.
Yeah, I'm not sure what we were supposed to do about it in their minds.
You know, they're
Well,
gonna,
they didn't
they're
know.
gonna build it regardless.
Yes.
And,
What's good about it is I think it'll be more affordable housing. They're
Should
not
we
gonna
close
be
the meeting
million-dollar homes,
We should.
well,
which is what's going
Yes,
on
we should.
everywhere. Hopefully they're
there'll be at least
priced.
$500,000
Oh, they have to be
by
today.
the time they put a cistern. I wonder if they could leave it open and make a community swimming pool.
Oh, stop it.